If your bank account is a mystery until payday, or worse, a mystery after payday, this episode's for you. Hi, I'm Christine Dunning, a Master Certified Life Coach and owner of Two Cats Coaching. Big reminder, I'm not a financial professional, just a person with a lot of ADHD and a lot of experience, trial and error, with my own money. And welcome to our second blast episode, all about handling money when you are single with ADHD. I'm calling this episode Expense Tracking Made Easy, or Bearable, because we're going to dive into something right now that I bet most of you are dreading. I know I do. And that's tracking your money. I mean, where does it all go? Most of us know how much we make. We've got a pretty good handle on what our fixed bills are, like how much is rent and our car payment. But the leftover part, the how I get from paycheck to paycheck part, that's where things get fuzzy. I often think back to my father on this. He was a small business owner I mentioned before. Shortly after he married my mom, they bought a small town liquor store. And yes, it was attached to our house, so yes, I grew up in a liquor store. I remember distinctly the big ledgers kept in the store for tracking the inventory and, of course, all the finances. In those days, it was the 70s and 80s. It was all done by hand. And although Mom had training as a bookkeeper, Dad had always kept all his own books, and so I think he still did most of it. But his personal checking account was a little different. He just always knew that he had enough to cover any checks, yes, back in the day, that he wrote, and he left it at that. After he passed away, I know my mother had a terrible time trying to figure out how much should be in his bank account so that she could close things out as part of the end of his estate. In the end, she was actually off by several $100s, luckily in her favor. But most of us can't get away with this kind of accounting. Before you set a budget or make financial goals, I think it's important to start by knowing where your money is going now. You can't make financial changes until you understand the present and the recent past. This is the hardest financial habit you'll build, but it's the one that changes everything. Now, a big caveat here. Please do not look at your numbers and start feeling a lot of guilt. No guilt, no shame, data. We're just looking at data because you can't change the past. So there's no sense in being guilty over it. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow. For today, think financial archaeology and not financial shame spiral, all right? Expense tracking feels so hard, especially for those of us with ADHD brains. It starts with that overwhelm factor. Big, boring tasks are ADHD kryptonite, right? And then there's our time perception issues. I'll tackle that later, often means I'll never get to it. It's an emotional load. Looking at this past spending can feel like watching a blooper reel of your financial life. Oh, why did I do that? Why did I spend this? How did I manage to rack up so much money at McDonald's? So, deep breath, pull up your big girl or big boy pants, and let's make this bearable. Not easy, just bearable. A couple of ADHD-friendly steps to make before we get into the details. Do take this process and break it into smaller steps. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. There are three main parts: gathering your information, doing the calculating of the finances, and then analyzing your results. Separate those if you need to. But I do want to warn you, separate them without a huge amount of time between. So let's start with that gathering. You're going to need your bank statements, your credit card statements, any PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Apple and Google Pay purchases, and any other spending records you might have. You can do it digitally or print it out, whichever helps you focus. My 2 cents, I think printing is easier. There's something tangible about seeing it on paper. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I'm going to suggest if you do use the paper method, grab some highlighters, some pens so you can separate out your categories. Makes it more tangible. It makes it more tangible and maybe just slightly fun because you're doing color. The next thing is make yourself comfortable. You're going to be in this for a while. Grab your favorite drink. Yes. Music you like? Absolutely. Alcohol? Maybe one to take the edge off, but not so much that your numbers start to blur together. Another thing that can really help is to have an accountability buddy. A friend, a family member, a life coach. That's one of the big things that I do. Or a therapist. Someone you can check in with so it doesn't feel like you're in this alone. So, as you're gathering your things, again, let me go through the list again. Bank statements, credit card statements, digital apps like Venmo, PayPal, things like Apple Pay and Google Pay, receipts, especially if you spend a lot of cash. Have your online seller's information handy if you spend a lot there, like Amazon or eBay, for example. Once you have gathered that all together, then you want to categorize it into 3 big buckets. Fixed expenses, that's things like rent or mortgage, utilities, those flex a little bit, but they usually don't flex a huge amount. Transportation, such as car payments, maybe your gas and maintenance, public transportation if you don't use cars. Your insurances, car, health, renters or homeowners, pet insurance. And any ongoing payments that are not flex, like childcare. You may have some things on this list that I don't have. The second bucket is things like your big variable expenses, your day-to-day stuff, groceries, clothing, personal care. Don't forget things like haircuts, the gym, the salon. So entertainment and hobbies, travel, any subscriptions, you're streaming your memberships. Don't forget things that are both personal and professional here. And then your third bucket is savings and retirement. Hopefully, please tell me you have at least some of this. Regular savings accounts, 401ks or IRA contributions, anything that you contribute but not just your employer. Everybody's list is going to be a little different. Maybe you have a horse and you've got to put those expenses in. Maybe your hobby budget includes monthly art classes. Whatever applies to you. The next thing is that you need to start analyzing that spending and taking a look, where is most of my money going? Am I overspending in any one category? Are there emotional spending habits? Look for trends you can adjust moving forward. One thing that can help with that organization is to make it visual. Use color coding, stickers, pie charts, apps with dashboards. Pick one system and stick to it, though. ADHD minds love visuals, but too many options can become another distraction. Me, personally, I stick with a notebook and my pieces of paper with a little bit of highlighter or colored pens to define my categories. Keep it simple. Now, one step you won't hear from everybody, but I think this is important. And that's to, as you're doing this, practice gratitude. You're looking at a lot of money coming in and out of your life. And it's really easy for us to just start to feel bad about, oh, I didn't realize I was spending so much money on this, or I didn't realize I had 6 subscriptions that I'm not using anymore. This is not just about finding the bad stuff, though. Notice what your money has allowed you to do. A roof over your head, a car that works, trips you've taken. Gratitude keeps us from this becoming a shame session. We're going to dive more deeply into this tomorrow in episode 7. And then next, create an action plan. Pick one tracking method, a spreadsheet, an app, or a notebook. I'm going to share some things below. And commit to tracking your spending for just 1 week. Set all this information that you've got, all your notes and highlights, and set it aside. And then schedule your next session where you're going to look at your income and start to set strategies. Today's not about strategy, remember. It's just about gathering all that information and starting to take a look at it. So something that might help is I do have a free expense tracking worksheet at Two Cats Coaching to help get you organized. That's twocatscoaching.com. If you can, share one surprise from your spending review, good or bad. Remember, you can't change where your money used to go, but you can change where it's going next. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the mindset piece, because what you tell yourself about money can make or break what you do with it. Thanks for joining me on A Solo Person's Guide to ADHD. I'm Christine Dunning with Two Cats Coaching. I promise you, you can get a handle on your money, even with ADHD. And yes, you can even make it a little fun. Please take the time to rate, review, subscribe, and share. It helps me be found by other people like you. I wrote the music as well. See you next time.